I was looking outside the window. I saw a car there. I said, "Oh, Dad, there's a car outside there." My dad said, "Okay, to be a good artist, someday you'll be able to be in a car."
Hello, print friends, and welcome. I'm your host, Miranda. This is a bilingual podcast, so if you subscribe to us, you'll be getting episodes in English with me, as well as in Spanish with Ronaldo Gil Zambrano. Together we speak to people from around the globe about their practice and passions in the fields of print media and multiples. Hello, Print Friend is brought to you by Speedball Art Products, who've been offering a diverse range of high-quality products to your practice since 1997. If you're looking to add some pizzazz to your practice, check out their new line of additive glitter. Add a sprinkle of their additive glitter to any Speedball fabric screen printing ink to bring a touch of shimmer to your next design. This additive glitter can be used in nearly any ratio, whether your sparkling vision is more subtle or dripping with scintillating shine. Check out the link in the show notes. This episode is also brought to you by Legion Paper. Legion Paper is a fine art paper company representing the best papers in the world. They either stock it, source it, or make it. With brands like Stonehenge, Somerset, Coventry, Reeves, Arches, and more, Legion is the best paper resource for every artist's and printmaker's needs. Learn more about the variety of papers Legion stocks at www.legionpaper.com. This is a special episode, Print Friends. It was recorded while I was in residence at the Institute for Electronic Arts at Alfred University. This is the third and final in a three-part deep dive into the Institute through the artists who teach at the university and an exploration into the ways in which technology intersects with contemporary printmaking. My guest this week is Xiaowen Chen. We talk about growing up in China during the Cultural Revolution when all of the art schools were closed, and being a part of the very first class let back in on the other side. The culture shock of coming to the US for his MFA, how he got into using digital media in his practice, AI art, and talking teaching techniques with Anne Hamilton. So, without further ado, sit back, relax, and prepare to go digital with Xiaowen Chen. Hi Xiaowen, how's it going?
I'm doing fine, yeah.
Yeah, thank you for taking some time out of your day to chat with me.
Well, I've been looking forward, actually, no?
Oh, good. Yeah, me too. I feel like we've had a lot of mutual friends for a lot of years. And so now we finally get a chance to sit down and get to know each other. This has been great. So it's been wonderful to see some of your work in person too. So thank you for bringing it in. And before we get going with the official interview, I always ask my guests to introduce themselves just by saying who you are, where you are, what you do.
Yeah, I originally came from China and came here to study printmaking, being grad school in Illinois. So now I've been teaching at Alfred since 1996, primarily teaching printmaking. So I'm a printmaker. I do my studio practice. I do paint, making drawings, video, interactive installations. But as far as the teaching goes, I pretty much teach all level of printmaking at Alfred. I also work with the grad students in digital media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you said that you grew up in China. Where in China did you grow up?
In Manchuria, in the north.
In the north, yeah.
Yeah, in the north, in Xi'an, industrial city. So my memory of that city is, of course, winter. It's very cold.
Yeah.
Colder than here, but also it's very smoky, dirty industrial city. I guess all industrial town has that kind of a feel of a smell. But yeah, so I grew up in the north part of China. But my father's side was from south. So I'm part of a south and north mixture. You cannot tell different, but like lots of people, Chinese, they see me and say, "Oh, you must have some kind of a gene from the south,
Yeah.
and the north."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what role did art have in that part of your life growing up in an industrial city?
That's very interesting. A very good question, by the way. My time in China, in the north of China, there wasn't any exhibition or gallery system at all. So very hard for artists, because there's nothing. There's no avenue. There's no opportunity to show your work. There was only perhaps one time a year, one opportunity per year to send your work into the show, which is organized by government, Chinese government. Not to see, not necessarily to be bad show, but show you have a certain kind of theme, often to be kind of propaganda theme. But the problem is not only one show, national or local exhibition, you can apply, send your work in. And that's it. Now, whether you get in or not get in, then you have nothing to do until next year, right? So we do make art, but not necessarily make art to make a body of work to show. There's a theme, then you think about that theme, you come up with an idea to make work corresponding to the theme of that show. So there's no such thing of a body of your personal work.
Right. Yeah, it's like it's a call that fits an existing idea.
Yes,
you make
exactly,
work for it.
Exactly.
So how did you know that you were going to be an artist or that you wanted to be an artist as a young person?
Well, it's a personal story and public story. Politically not public, but public story. The personal story, I always like to draw. There's no doubt. Especially during the Cultural Revolution, during that 10 years of a Cultural Revolution, it was very dangerous to be outside, because then you start having people have a gun or fighting each other, and you then later on have a gangsters on the street. So my parents decided to lock me in an apartment when they go out to work. I guess maybe many other people will do that too, but definitely I have to be locked in the house. Fortunately, never have a fire in the building.
I was just thinking that.
So I don't have to jump out the window. So, but also that time there was no school. There was a couple of years into Cultural Revolution, and there wasn't even school. All school closed. So only way to entertain myself is to make a drawing or comic book. So I drew a lot when I was young. And of course, and there wasn't art school to go.
Right.
I wasn't really thinking about going to art school at all. I just make art because I like. And because when I was looking outside the window, I saw a car, just a car, passenger car, small car outside there. I said, "Oh, Dad, there's a car outside there." My dad said, "Okay, to be a good artist, someday you'll be able to be in a car." So that's my personal story. I said, "Okay, so I'll have that to grow in my mind for as long as probably over 10 years before I really go into art school." I said, "Someday I'm going to be able to be in a car. I have to be a good artist."
The art will get you there. Yeah.
Art can get me to be in the car.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was in Mongolia to work. That's kind of a long story, but I don't want to get into that. We can talk about that when I have more time. So I get a little letter from my parents said, "Okay, school now, college is opening now, open. So everybody can apply to go to college." And I said, "Oh my gosh, I would like to apply to come to the art school to study art." So I sent my portfolio from Mongolia, sent my portfolio all the way to the young city, where there's one of the three best art school in China. So I applied and then get accepted. But then I said, "Okay, now I have my door open to be artist now."
Yeah. And what school was it that you went to?
It's the Luxun Academy of Fine Arts. Luxun is the name of a very famous Chinese writer. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what was that time like in art school as an undergrad for you?
As undergrad, it was wonderful actually, because the very competitive to be art school at that time. So in my year, because it's the first year, college open to young kids. You can apply to get your MFA or bachelor degree. And so very special moment because only few people can get in there because school just open.
And it must be like so many people who've been waiting
so many people
for this opportunity.
Waiting for like 10 years.
Yeah.
So that's why some of my classmates are 10 years older.
Right.
Because they passed that time. So then they apply when they were 30 years old to compete with the younger kids. And I was like a 20-year-old. So, but anyways, like that class is very small. Because they just open, they don't want to open to get too many students. And so we have like a 56 of our class, only 56 in entire art school. 56 is large, for some school here. But if we think about that's one of the three best art schools, like Chicago Art Institute, but only accept 53. But like 10,000 people, no, let me see. Yeah, 10,000 people or 100,000 people, I forgot, applications, and only select 56. So because of that, I'm not bragging, but because of that, we're very competitive. When we get in school, we really appreciate the time we are there.
Yeah.
Really, because it's so special, almost like, oh man, I can't believe, I have this opportunity. So everybody work very hard. We friendly compete each other. So every morning we would wake up at 6 o'clock, go out to make one painting.
Right.
Study before even come back for breakfast. So, but very rigid. There's only few book in the library. So because only few book, we read each book 3-4 times.
Of course, yeah.
But it's a resource very small. There's a very limited resource. But the faculty and students get close, very, very close, because it's almost like a ratio is like one faculty, 2 students. That ratio.
Yeah.
But the other part of that, they are very rigid in terms of academic training. At that time, our education in China followed the kind of model developed in Russia and Paris. So we have a Paris school, a French school, and a Russian school. Together, we make our own Chinese school based on those 2 schools.
Yeah.
So very academic, figurative.
Yep.
Yeah, very rigid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how many years were you there?
4 years.
4 years. And then afterwards, did you know you wanted to go on in school? Did you do that right away?
At that time, there wasn't graduate school at that time.
Yeah.
So the BFA is the ultimate degree you can get in China. So we can teach with the BFA. You don't need MFA to teach.
Wow, yeah.
And school, so almost all schools. So the lacking of the faculty. So it's pretty much like take the 1/3 of a graduate to be a teacher.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So then I basically instantly, from dorm to dorm, I moved from a senior student to the assistant professor.
Yeah.
Just like a couple of days now.
Totally.
And so I started to teach in our school. And so my first group of my students is of same age. Few of them older than I was. And so just start right away to teach.
Yeah. And so during the 10 years that the schools were closed, did you have a feeling that they were going to open up again at some point? So you didn't know.
Nobody knew that.
So you were people who were making art were like not making it necessarily with this goal. Well, when schools open back up, I'm going to have this portfolio. You just had to make because you needed to make.
Yeah. Yeah, you make it because you enjoy.
Yeah.
There's no school, not even job line up
with
what you're doing there. perhaps you probably can be making art for government at a certain point, but there's not like a design the job,
Yeah.
You're like a workforce. You get into a workforce is not like that.
And I would imagine that making work for the government would also be making the commissioned work.
Yeah.
So this idea of an artist who has something to say that comes from inside of them, that's very personal. That's not,
No, once again, when you grow up in that kind of moment or political moment, you almost like never even questioning what's your voice, what is the government voice. You just say, voice.
Yeah.
Because you grew up in that situation.
Yeah.
You see that just like a political shadow. You see the shadow is the reality, right? In the cave.
So what kind of work were you doing leading up to being in school then, when it was just you? I'm just curious, like, what your application portfolio had in it.
At that time, before you go to school, to academically, seriously, to learn, to make art, you do kind of a commission work in a sense, kind of propaganda. You could be doing poster. No, I did lots of poster. I did lots of comic bookish poster for political propaganda work to educate a mass, right? So artists becoming a voice, visualize the ideology to educate, to communicate to the mass audience. To be more specifically, if you are working in the manufacturing, you make art to educate a worker. In a sense, you're kind of bridge, right, in between government and the worker or mass audience. In my case, I was in a farm in Mongolia. So my audience was all farmer. So I would make art, go to village to show art. But all art is an illustration of political propaganda slogan. Yeah. In a good way, kind of optimistic.
Yep.
But other time, and it can be very brainwash kind of message, right? And then I would take my art and take a wagon, go to village and set up my art, in the field.
Wow.
Or in the yard, square. And then a group of farmers would come in, sitting around, and I start to talk about what this picture is about, what that picture is about. And so that kind of art,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of educational, but, political.
Yeah, educational with an agenda. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So, that kind of art, in my portfolio, I have some of that. But also, at that time, I was kind of smart enough to do lots of life study. Like a sketch of people working, farmer working, sketch of landscape, and sketch of a farmer portraiture. I think that portraiture helped me to get in school.
Yeah.
Because that portraiture have not any political message at all. Just your skill, your observational skill, and your technical skill to draw people's portraiture. I think that helped me to get into school.
Yeah, and so difficult. Like drawing a face and making it look right.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So in terms of just showing technical skill, I think that would be helpful
that's important,
as well.
Yeah, when you get to art school, in China at that time, they do look at your technical skill as a big plus.
Yeah.
So of course, when I never draw any other kind of art before getting into art school, then I start to learn to draw the plaster of Greek, the actual face, So this kind of a French school or Russian school.
Very formal.
Very formal, yeah.
Yeah. And so when did you discover printmaking? At what point?
I went to school for printmaking.
Oh, okay.
So that time you do have major, you can apply. So I applied for printmaking, but painting and printmaking in the same department at that time. So I concentrated in printmaking, but the fine art, as a major, like a studio major. So I was doing painting, drawing, and the printmaking. But at that time, printmaking was just woodcut, nothing else, just woodcut for 4 years.
Yeah.
So but then, of course, I have two mentors. One of them was in lithography. The other one was trying to set up etching studio for students. So those two mentors, two professors, keep my open to other technique, etching and lithography. So other than stone, other than woodcut.
Yeah.
But then, of course, very hard to make etching there. We have to invent. All the material here we get for granted, and there we have to make our own hard ground, make our own paper.
Wow.
Yeah. Until one day I said, no, I have to come to America to really study real etching and lithography.
Yeah.
So I have to apply to come to grad school here.
Yeah.
Right.
And so how did you choose a grad school?
Was pretty simple and hard. The first problem I had is I don't have any American dollar money, come to grad school. So I have no choice. I just went to the local library, state library. And my friend told me, state library have a catalog of all school in America. So I didn't even know that. The library, I only a few books, but for some reason, perhaps I would say probably have to be giving special thanks to the American consulate or embassy. They may be the kind of agent to give the catalog of our school to all the major state library for free, right? Catalogs. So I have to go to look at the catalog, look for number one, look for our school. Number two, look for the school don't require, they have a scholarship.
Yeah.
Or tuition waiver at least,
Yeah.
And so I have no choice. I have to look at, ends up to be all state school because state school most likely give tuition scholarships, no private school for sure. So I just send out many applications to see who would give me scholarships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what was that experience like coming to the United States for the first time?
I came here in 1987, and people kind of older enough, perhaps have a good memory of what 80s look like, right?
Yeah.
And fabulous. It's just so fabulous. First day arrived, and the first week, first year, I thought it was in heaven, right? In heaven. Not just like life, but the freedom. The amount of freedom you have, library you have. I remember my first year, I like to go to library to check all the books I can find. I like to lie down on the floor to read. Because in China at that time, before I came to this country, library would have a little window, like a cell, like a prison cell. And you talk to a person librarian behind the window. And you ask him what kind of book, and they say we have or we don't have. Then you can check out book, and then write down your name. You have no the access to walk into the bookshelf, check out from the shelf, right?
Yeah.
You just do a catalog of they're asking for, they give to you, and you can check out for a week. So coming here, you can walk in the books, right? You can pick up things, you lie down to read there. It's just that would happen.
Wow, yeah. And just I remember from doing the most serious research I've done was in graduate school, and how just getting to walk through the stacks, you would discover something next to the book that you would come for that actually holds the information that opens up a whole new thing for you.
Right.
So it's the ability to just browse in the books is really powerful when it comes to research.
So powerful. You find so many things you would never even know it exists, no?
Yeah.
Yeah, you never know they exist. Another thing can blow my mind is the way of working, making art. In China at that time, you have to come up with a very solid idea. Then you make imagery, composition, you put things together to express that idea. You never make art without any idea at all. You have to really have a concrete idea to make art. And everything has to be perfect, right? And you probably I was one of many others. You perhaps only make one work a year even, or one work a half a year, maybe 5 work piece a year. Everything has to figure out, have to be perfect. But come to this country, to grad school, when you make prints, and I was trying to make everything perfect, and my professor would say, no, just make another one. I say, no, I have a problem here. I have to deal with this problem. I keep saying, oh, you can deal with the same problem with the other print. You don't have to make everything perfect. If things you're not happy, you make a next print to make something, to deal with that, to achieve that goal. Oh, so that blew my mind.
Yeah.
And until now, I always tell my students in China, just make a bunch of work.
Yeah.
And then you learn from your work. And you don't learn how to make art. You make first, then you look at them, you articulate, and you find your direction. You pay attention to what the work tells you.
I was thinking too, wondering if it has anything to do with sounds like the scarcity a bit of resources in the school that you were in China, where you're having to make your own paper and that sort of thing. So it's like when it comes time to really make something, like you need a plan, because otherwise you have to make your whole paper again.
Right.
Yeah. And then after you graduated, did you go immediately into teaching again once you had your MFA?
Of course, I apply for school to teach, apply all the teaching position I can find. Of course, from CA publications, the first few years was hard for me to find teaching job. Even though back in my mind I said I'm the best teacher.
Of course,
I could be. But people, I'm from different culture. My English wasn't good. I didn't even know how to articulate how to teach. I know how I would teach in real life, but to write down, to talk about verbally, that was hard. It was hard. So I didn't know the first couple of years I wasn't successful to looking for teaching job, but I found I found a position to work at the graphic studio at University of South Florida. So that's the graphic studio is the place, like one of the print shops or publication the print press. You can work there to make prints for other artists.
Yeah.
So I apply and get a job to work there to be master printer.
Okay, yeah.
So wonderful! I really learned all the sharp my technical skill in etching. So pretty much know everything how to make the best professional etching. That was very, very good.
Yeah.
Very beneficial. Then they have run into financial problems. So they have to lay off few people. I was a newer person. I was the first one had lost a job.
Yeah.
But of course, during that time, I was still looking for a teaching job. So did some kind of a 1 semester adjunct. Finally, found a job here at the Alfred. Also, sabbatical replacement. Joe Shearer's sabbatical replacement for 1 year. And I like here, and they like me, so I continue renew the contract for couple years before they had the tenure opening. So I becoming like on tenure track, professor.
Yeah.
So I have to say, my wife also reminded me whenever I have a bad day to teach, and she always reminded me how much Alfred have done to support me. And because this is the only place hired me immediately. And when sabbatical, Jesse Sheffer was another printmaking professor, senior professor. She's retired. She took a job at the RISD to be provost, then retired. So I had a wonderful interview with her. She said, no, you got a job,
Oh, that's great.
And my English was terrible,
Yeah.
But she said, we don't need that.
Yeah, you can learn that.
Right.
Yeah, a good teacher's a good teacher.
So she hired me. And so everything is, had a wonderful time with all the people here, Joe Shear, many other colleagues, very supportive. So Alfred is just the best place.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
And so at what point does digital media and videos and that sort of thing start to come into your practice?
It sounds kind of cliche, but, the fact is the institute, Joe Shear, Hare, and Jesse, three of them start this institute. So, of course, they were kind of pioneer into digital media, whether digital printmaking or digital video or digital media, now we call. So I was fortunate, so lucky, started to come here to teach. The same year, they started this program in digital media institute as well as digital media division. We have different name for that, but at that time, so we are with other painters, photographer to be the same division. Then we create a new division called expanded media. So that was my first year that you're working with Joe Shear and Jesse Sheffer and Peter Bold, and just quickly into digital printmaking and digital video. Another story is about how I get into digital video. When we were in grad school, 1 year, I was so sick of making the art I know how to make, painting, printmaking. I'm not like, I'm so sick. I feel like I don't see myself to have some kind of major change, which I do feel desperate. I want do something. Have an internal driven force, but I don't know what to do. Yeah. So I decided 1 year, 1 semester, I'm not making any art. So I took a course in direction in theater department. So where I took a course where I have to write my own play and hire to the theater major. Students in theater, major in theater, and to put short play, to make short play. So I did, kind of hard, but I made one short play. And at the same time, I took the experimental film class. At that time, using Super 8 to make a Super 8 film. You kind of cut, put them together, all manual, physically putting together. And not any software, any other support, just like a real hands-on, cut paste, right, scissors. And so I took it like a direction and the film. Then I took the history of photography, history of film, actually. That's like a theory course. So when I started work here, one day I asked Per, where should I get I want to get the film camcorder. Not camcorder, film, the camera I want to make film. And he said, no, you should just get into digital video. And that's much more practical, and you need to get video camcorder, tapes. And he showed me the way they set up. I have a computer working with the Avid editing software. So he taught me how to make video, digital video, use software to do the editing. So I said, oh my gosh, that was like another new venture, another heaven I'm running into. So from there on, I just started making video, making digital prints. Eventually, I I'm the first one to start to work with interactive video. Actually, I developed the course and taught first interactive video at Alfred. It's long before the interactivity becoming everywhere.
Yeah. What does that mean, the interactive video?
Couple of things actually. At that time, I happened to be running into the conference. One of the artists and showing his work, with the coding, make the video to be interactive with the audience. So that's kind of something in my mind, but I didn't know how to do it. I didn't even I thought it was cool, but I didn't know if I want to do that until the one day. Sometimes we have a low, have a high, right? Mm-hmm. At the lowest point, at the time, you start make big jump, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. The lowest point, and you make big jump.
Mm-hmm.
So my lowest point at Alfred is a time I didn't know my future because I was not on tenure track, and I was still thinking about to invent my future, whether to teach a different place or to learn something into future, right? In high school, my interest was in physics. I was interested in art and physics and math. So back in my mind, I always fascinated by physics, electricity, and magnetic field verse, So at my low point, and I feel like I need another thing into art making. But anyway, to be short, one day I was in the Barnes Noble. I was traveling and tired, just get coffee in Barnes Noble. I was looking at a book on the shelf. I found this book. They basically teach you how to work with the director. Director at that time was kind of software, but also you have lingo. It's kind of programming. Now you can program and to make things to be a motion graphic, to be interactive. So I was looking open. I said, oh my God, this is my future. So I bought that book and taught myself. I learned to write lingo, to learn to program, And so I said, that's not enough. I want to teach class. It's gonna be future. Mm-hmm. So I have to do something, even though we don't have. Supported by a chair at that time, Jason Sheffrin. So I made a proposal to teach this new course called Reactive Digital Media, or Reactive Video.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of in a way, it's internal driven to look for what future will be look like, how the art making can be in the future. How our art making will be challenged or be changed by numerous technology going into the future.
Yeah.
Not just technology, but the future. But with the help of technology.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a driving force. Then my other side of me is I have always have interest in physics. Right?
Yeah.
And questioning what is time. That sort of thing, kind of ever abstract.
Yeah.
Then I get into digital media, more specifically interactivities. And now is art and technology. For the past 6 years, some more into technology and art. So that's my new future. So that to me is bigger than interactivity. Any other thing I've done just be small part of a larger umbrella. The few larger mission or interest.
Yeah. Well, yesterday I got to see a bit of the facilities here. And Eric showed me what some of the technology is capable of in image making. And this idea that you interact with the technology really kind of in the way that you would a paintbrush or an etching plate or something, that it's a tool and it has qualities that contribute to the finished output.
Right.
but within that, it's almost infinite possibilities of what you can do.
Right.
And, you were showing me about like cameras that capture images, and then you can loop the image around a donut shape that floats in space, and then you can put it through an analog processor.
Right.
And it was just really, really interesting to see the level at which, at this point in 2023, technology can create so quickly.
Right.
An infinite possibility of images that still all come from a person's vision, come from the seed images that are captured and all of that.
Right.
And that was really interesting to see.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's true. It's almost like if we go back to printmaking, for example. My excitement, the excitement I had when I made my first etching or first stone lithography, is just as strong as now. First time I make a video, make 3D printing, or first print I made with AI, So similar kind of excitement, but just in terms of degree is the same, but in terms of content, or reason is different. So I guess, what all the facility we have here it's a kind of a way we set up, of course, have all the tools you can play with, right? See what happens. This is always a fun part of that. But also, it's part of our belief, Joe's belief, my belief, Eric's belief. So that kind of new tool, just like etching, like stone lithography, and make you to be in the position you only have half control over, right? You can make a drawing on stone, on etching. That's the part you can control. But even the fact, reverse the image, you have no control over, right? Because the process, right? Reverse the image. For a long time, I feel uneasy about that. And then accident, during the printing process, plate making process, everything can happen. And so you only have so much control over. So in a sense, that's why I like different way, but similar also. I like John Cage, the chance operation. In a sense, of course, he would mean something different to much greater degree. But I like to see the printmaking process. Printmaking is kind of partially 50% of a chance operation. You just give up your control over. And you have to be willing to accept the things you don't know. Is this me? No. Is this what I made? No. The AI is same thing. And the video capture, and you print up, you're going through different process. And we are so excited to see some things we foresee partially, but overall, we have no idea what's going to look like.
Yeah.
So put you in a position, and you can relearn, re-understand yourself, right? It kind of sounds kind of cliche, but that's make us to be young all the time, right?
Totally, yeah.
Yeah, so that kind of excitement make us feel young all the time, feel always something happen unexpectedly. And the technology is a tool, but also to me is the other kind of a being, and challenge my being, and inspire me, or just like stimulate me, make my brain to constantly be working, right? So that technology is wonderful. Of course, it's kind of a love-hate relationship. When I do teach my students, especially my students in China, I do have a group of students, and I'm not officially a teacher there, but I do have a group of students working now. I have been mentor to them. They are in the field, major in art and technology. So to work with them, the question I give them most of the time is, to think about the ethics of technology. Yeah. So now, technology is wonderful. You can make this, you can make that. But really think about in what way the technology, if you're not using well, now how not that contributing, what they can contribute to our society, not always a happy ending. So I always have that question first before we even use any technology.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think it's a question that's really on the forefront of a lot of people's minds right now, with AI tech being so prevalent right now. And it seems like 2023 is going to be the year of AI technology in the art, and all kinds of questions about the ethics of source material for AI, but then of course where does the artist's hand or the artist's eye come into it? If you can put a prompt into something and get a fully formed image, are you acting as an artist at that point? It's really, really interesting questions. And I think when technology moves as quickly as it does, you need to be sure to take the time to consciously answer them, because otherwise they're going to blow by you. You know? Yeah,
exactly. I think you get that right. And we constantly you have to take questions to the process of making work with AI, right, or with any technology, and you're asking what is the questions, right? I remember I have a conversation with Hamilton, and she always asks her student, any work you make, and what kind of question you're asking. So you come up with questions, and then you try and find an answer, maybe never find an answer, but you work, but with that question in your mind.
Yeah.
So I always in my work, make my prints or interactive digital media, or even some kind of robotic sculpture, which I have not made many, but I was in part of collaborating with some engineer in China, made some work. So the first question always come in my head is of course, ethics of technology. I'm thinking about the technology. Wonderful. Yes, you have AI, but lots of people don't have that access to that technology.
Yeah.
And don't think about how wonderful it is, but how many people really have that access to that, right? But I think the creativity is another thing, and you're questioning where the creativity exists when you in the space between technology and your personal hand making, right? So those kind of questions I ask all the time, and so I like to take technology as kind of I like to work with technology and to come up with some conceptual questions. So in sense, I want to see if any way I work with the technology, if conceptually makes sense, then I work with that. So, but not necessarily just use it as a tool. Even if I use a tool very quickly, make something, but I like to ask the conceptually, and what's the role that technology play in the whole process of making. Right? Yeah. So now when we work with any kind of technology, often we use a term we're all familiar with, the cybernetic, right? Then I remember the old little story that John Cage actually gave the book some written by I think Weiner, right? With the about the cybernetic, right? And she gave that book to. He used to have that book and give that book to somebody else. So in a sense, that's becoming kind of metaphor. He didn't have to use the AI, right, or artificial intelligence, but he has eye on that, right? I like that. Yeah.
And I love what you're saying too about that, like quoting Anne Hamilton, that art is asking an important question, whether or not the answer is there.
Right.
And it really feels like that's where we are with AI right now.
Yeah.
The answer is not there.
Exactly.
But it's very important questions that we can ask through art making, but I think it's going to as time goes on, becomes so much more pertinent for every element of our life. Self-driving cars and surgeries done by robots and all of this kind of stuff, right? So as artists, we're on the precipice of asking those questions, I think, and making sure that they're out there in the world. Yeah. And so you mentioned that you've got mentees, you've got people who you're mentoring in China as well. Do you feel like you're kind of split between the two places at all? Or
I do feel that way. I do feel like split in between, and to most part for good reason, but also quite rewarding. To most part, very rewarding. So I guess of course, culture differently, and where I can see myself to be in differently. And also I have different mindset, right?
Of course.
When I be here, teaching here at Alfred to my body of a student here, I switch my mindset, to work with them and to give what they need. Also trying to encourage, inspire them, and especially trying to take them out of their own mind, right? To our own geological cultural space, which is America or Alfred. I think their brain they can do so much with their brain. They can be here, but also they can think about other country. I wanted them to think about the war, but I usually don't have trying to not bring that into a conversation, if anything a little controversial. But I do want bring them to look outside of this culture. But then when you're working in China with the students in China, so I do the similar thing, but in a kind of different way. But in a sense, I can see myself to bring things I learned there to this environment, cultural environment, to my student here, but also bring things I learned here, which is so valuable to them, right? So in that process, delivering, right, like a missionary, I become much stronger. Feel much more fulfilled. But also, I try to think or believe I can change their life in some way, in a small way. Because I remember you asked me how I come to this country. Early inspiration was one printmaker from America went to China to give a demo in printmaking at one of our school. She was under Fulbright, I believe. So her little demo, the way she worked, and even the piece of BFK paper, and it inspired me to come to this country. I said, no, what if I did, if that wasn't that moment, inspiration, I would probably never think about coming to this country, could probably never be able to contribute to students on both sides. It's the way I'm doing now, right? And so I have to always tell myself, everything I'm doing now, I have to give credit to her.
It's funny, I definitely have moments like that myself, where it's just one person or one circumstance, or that it changes the whole course of your life. It's really remarkable to kind of look back and think about that. I think for me, I could even talk about Alfred in that way, because I met my husband here in the print studio on the third floor right below us. So it's sort of that circumstances of like meeting Joe at a conference, getting invited here, having him work here. I mean, all those like funny things that form a life that you don't know is going to be the moment that steers your ship a totally different direction. It's a funny thing, for sure.
I think that moment is so important. So sometimes we don't need a big no ideology, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just a little action, little involvement,
totally.
in interactions, and little the generous kind of a giving
Totally.
can make a huge difference.
Right? I'd love to talk a little bit about the way in which technology is showing up in your art currently. Right. You brought some great prints in for me to see that we looked at before we sat down. And so, for instance, this like Under the Sea or Deep Ocean series that I saw, which looked like these beautiful etchings. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Can you speak to those?
Yeah, on technology in general, we can define, we can think about technology as kind of a technique, right? And also can think about technology as technological thinking, thinking in technology perspective or term. So if coming down to 3D printing or AI or other kind of a way generate information like data, then to work with that data, those to a certain degree is kind of a technique or kind of a tool help me to make imagery, which I think makes sense, which I think I cannot do without the support, without technology. But on the other side is thinking in terms of technology or making art in the era, in the age of technology, or in the age of AI, in the age of the deep learning or data. So that's a different kind of concept. Mm. So the idea of my recent work, it come out of thinking in making, asking questions, what way artists can make, what art can be in the age of AI, in the age of the deep learning or big data or social media also. That's content. But the way I make them, then AI or 3D printing becomes a tool to help me make 3D printing or AI generate the image. So there's two parts. And I more enjoy the technological thinking, right? More enjoy ecological thinking. And recently I even I'm been thinking technological thinking is supposed to be a Bauhaus school thinking. So that helped me to thinking totally differently and to get into other kind of system, which I'm not familiar. Whether system of thinking or system of making. So that kind of system I'm not familiar with. But that gave me a lot of great idea to come up with ideas to make my work. When I started using AI or 3D as a tool, the reason why I really enjoy not only some outcome looks just right there. That's something I really, oh my God, that's it. But also it's that using that kind of technology to take me to challenge my own other way of making, which I feel already comfortable. So to expand my imagination.
Yeah.
Or to go back to the John Cage, just to have something else to make work. In his case, it's kind of random the randomness and the chance operation, right? So when I work with the AI to me is a chance operation. Just have AI to take over. But then, of course, you always come back to make selection. It's not like everything AI make. They make terrible work, right? And the chance operation can make something very terrible too. But artists always have something. At what point you step in there in the entire process, whether beginning or the end or during. So those kind of beginning, during, the end is a place an artist see themselves to be in there, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's how I think about the rule, the technology, how they work in my work.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Well, we're kind of out of time, so I have to ask you, where can people find you and see your work?
Where?
Yeah, like, do you have a website or Instagram or...
No, I don't.
Yeah. I know. I was trying to research you before I came, and you don't.
I don't have a website. I don't have Instagram.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for taking some time out of your afternoon to talk to me. I know you've got a class you have to get to.
6:30.
Yeah. So thank you again, and it's been great to chat.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. Good questions.
Thank you. This episode, like all episodes, was written and produced by me, Miranda Metcalf, with editing by Timothy Pauschak and music by Joshua Weber. I'll see you next week. And that's our show for this week. Join me again next week when my guest will be Enrique Federero, a Venezuelan artist and assistant professor of practice at the University of Texas at Austin. We talk about his travels around the Southwest, visiting some of the earliest churches in what we now call the United States, and making rubbings from the inscriptions on the walls, as well as a potential family connection to that region. We also talk about having curiosity about the migration of people and seeking out the histories you weren't taught in school, as well as his current solo exhibition up now at Foreman Concept Gallery in Santa Fe as a part of Print Santa Fe. You won't want to miss it.